Hey everyone, welcome to the Sound Test Podcast, the only podcast that commits tax evasion. I'm your host Bryan here, and I'm joined by my colleague and friend who also commits tax evasion, DeYante. How you doing, man?
The fuck?
I Maximilian Gene Bryce will no longer be associated with the Sound Test Podcast starting now. I bid you gentlemen farewell.
Well, first he got our fucking crimes wrong. It's him with tax evasion, me with driving under the influence, because let's not talk about some Moscato I really want right now.
Well, I mean, you're under the Sound Test label, so if Sound Test Podcast is doing tax, evasion, everybody associated with, Sound Test is doing tax evasion. Am I right?
I refuse to be associated with the likes of Bryan McCall.
I'd rather try to breathe like a fish underwater.
DeYante McClay has no association with this. I'm sick of it. I've had enough.
I bid you gentlemen farewell.
No,
I will now take my
swindled
manner.
And thus ends the Sound Test Podcast.
All right, yeah, like I said, that's the Sound Test Podcast,
just because people are afraid to do a little tax fraud or tax evasion. Come on.
I'd rather do cocaine off of a beluga whale's back.
Like, what's the worst that can happen? You just get a few years in jail, but I mean, it's worth it.
That'd be in the back of a paddy wagon.
Prison. Excuse me. Prison. That's significantly worse than jail.
To not become Wesley Snipes and or one of the Isley brothers. Thank you very much.
Wait.
Exactly. I love my freedom. Oh, fuck.
Okay, so welcome to the Sound Test Podcast. We actually talk about like video games and stuff here.
Tax evasion.
So yeah, this is Bryan. I'm joined by Max, Clayton, and DeYante. So the topic we have for this week's episode is what the hell is going on with Square Enix?
Tax evasion. But you might as well be.
Oh, Lord.
Somebody's gonna have to foreclose. Hey, that's just the business of it.
Let me prepare my casket.
I mean, with the way these acquisitions are going, because that shit came as a shock, but at the same time, I was like, eh.
Yeah, it's a story with multiple layers and multiple hot takes and cold takes. But yeah, let's get into it proper. So this week, at the beginning of the week too, it was like Monday. Out of nowhere, it was revealed that Square Enix had sold off the developers responsible for Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain, Gex. More specifically, they sold off Eidos, Crystal Dynamics. Yeah, Gex was old Eidos property.
Holy shit.
So Square Enix sold off Eidos, Crystal Dynamics, and Square Enix Montreal. I'm going to read a little bit of the article from Polygon by Michael McWhirter. I don't know if I pronounced that right. But Square Enix is selling off its Western studios, Edios, Crystal Dynamics, and Square Enix Montreal, as well as the franchises these studios develop, including Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, to the Embracer Group. The $300 million deal will give the Embracer Group ownership of more than 50 back catalog games from Square Enix library and will affect 1,100 employees across 3 studios. The Swedish-based Embracer Group already owns publishing and development studios Gearbox Software, THQ Nordic, Saber Interactive, Koch Media, Deep Silver, Coffee Stain Studios. They also own Dark Horse, which was this huge comic book publishing label. And Embracer will have more than 14,000 employees, 10,000 game developers, and 124 internal studios when this deal is finalized.
I didn't know there had that many like Western studios, like Western property.
Embracer Group is enormous. Just a few like franchises that Embracer Group owns is, as I said before, Dark Horse Comics, Duke Nukem, Saints Row, Dead Island, Destroy All Humans, Painkiller, Time Splitters, Goat Simulator, Deep Rock Galactic, Red Faction, Pandemic, The Blob. Can't forget Homefront.
Homefront. Yes, Homefront.
Darksiders. They own a lot.
Some of those are dead. Some of those IPs are dead.
But Dark Horse Comics, they create the Legend of Korra and the Avatar: The Last Airbender comics, bro.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark Horse does
Like,
a
I'm
lot.
not even joking. And that must be because I'm not big on comic books either, but I've never heard of it.
Well, what Dark Horse does, they have their own original stuff, but like almost always when there's a video game like comic book tie-in, it's done by Dark Horse. Matter of fact, I think the Tomb Raider comics were published by Dark Horse a few years back, to be honest.
Yeah, Hellboy is on there. From what I remember, I don't remember who else is on there, but I remember. As we're recording, I'm currently looking at the Promise Avatar: The Last Airbender comic that I have on my desk, and now I'm concerned because there's still more to the story to be told.
Well, shit.
Fuck.
I didn't, I keep forgetting that specifically the Blob, an extremely underrated like game, both 1 and 2, and Darksiders. I didn't know those were under technically Square.
No. Those are under Embracer Group, who bought these things.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, then, yeah.
That's what I mean. All the stuff that I named are owned by Embracer Group.
Okay, we're good. My brain did a little backflip.
Okay.
You say like Square was losing.
No. Square is losing Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain, and Gex. And
all those are bad. Never then, yeah.
Oh wow, thanks.
Was there supposed to be another Tomb Raider installment as well?
yes, they're actually currently developing a new Tomb Raider.
While they're about to change studios.
So, well, okay. Before we get into like why Square sold off these studios, what was your initial reactions when y'all heard this?
I ain't gonna lie, it was very mid for me. I was like, oh.
That's very much the same reaction that I had because I mean, look at some of the IPs that they're losing. Look at some of the IPs that they're losing. I mean, who gives a goddamn about?
Whoa.
Who cares about Gex?
Okay.
Like, when are we gonna get a new Gex game? The world may never know.
I'm not going to sit here and defend Gex. However, I don't think any of y'all played any of the Tomb Raider reboots. Have you?
I played the first. I played the first one.
Okay.
I played the first
Gameplay
one
I've
for like an
watched.
hour, and I liked it, but I didn't like go back to it.
Okay. So I played the first of the Tomb Raider reboots fairly recently, like 2 years ago. And I almost 100%ed it. I was like at like 92% or something like that. I was in the 90 percentile for it. I literally didn't 100% the game because the remaining things I had to do were just annoying things like, you know, all these little trinkets around the open world that you had to find or collect or whatever.
Or that. Comb her hair. Find food.
Find Laura's
Find her beret.
find Laura's deep awakening and her consolidation for murdering so many people.
Right. Find an ulterior motive to cover your tracks.
Right, and then the deaths were dark. Like the deaths on that were really fucking dark.
Yeah, I'll never forget the one where it's like when I seen, I was like, "Damn, this is definitely a completely different Tomb Raider." Where she's like going down a river or a stream or something.
Yes, yeah, that was the same one I was thinking of.
And you fuck up the timing for the thing, and the branch that she's going towards, that shit just goes straight through her goddamn neck.
Yeah, she
And
just
it's
get
graphic.
impales. Yeah.
It's
Um,
very graphic because she's struggling. You see her face, and it's just like, ugh.
like that's one thing I would say. Like the old Tomb Raider games, I never really played them. I played a little bit of the first one, but I just couldn't get over the tank controls. Um,
Them shits are awful.
yeah, and so it was like, I mean, at the time it was like revolutionary and stuff, and it was a, you know, very successful franchise at first, but
Yeah.
it was goofy. Like the first Tomb Raider is just goofy. Like you're fighting fucking dinosaurs and shit. Like
Right.
Have the
While
first
using
picture,
tank
too.
controls. Like, have you ever, bruh, try moving in real life with tank controls and see how inefficient that shit is.
Like I have the first Tomb Raider, and I still have very vivid memory. Like I made it like middle of the game when I was younger, and I was like, this game is impossible. So I stopped. And I
Oh,
remember like
whoa.
the first time playing it, you know, the first thing that you fight is like cave bats. And like there's an auto lock on system, so it's really easy. And then they ramp it up to like wolves, and then a goddamn grizzly bear, and then a velociraptor, and then a motherfucking T-Rex. And then it doesn't get any more like, you know, progressively hyper after that. It's just
I mean, because
T-Rex.
if I remember correctly, it was, I don't know, the series just got really weird after a few years of that initial, you know, run.
Yeah.
But like, you know, the with the reboot, I like how there was still like some supernatural stuff going on, but like it was way more grounded in reality. And I like, this is a slight spoiler for this game, but it literally happens in the first few hours of the game. But like the first few hours of the game, you're just kind of exploring and stuff, and you're mostly avoiding people, but there's like a moment where you have to do your first kill, and
Oh
like,
yeah, I remember that part.
and
But
it's
it's a character that's like supposed to be helping you, but he's really not.
yeah, and it's like you have to kill this person, and like Laura feels that junk because, you know, the reboot is basically the beginning of Laura's career, and so she's just an explorer. She's like this person who's like fresh out of college, and like, you know, this is like her first like real big expedition or something, and it goes south so quickly, and like there's a moment where she has to kill one of these people, and like she does it and she fucking feels it, boy. Like she's crying afterwards, but it was strictly out of survival, you know.
Yeah, she had no choice.
Right. And like, you know, compared to like Uncharted and Nathan Drake, he's just like boom, 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 ha ha, boom, boom,
Right,
boom,
he's like,
ha ha.
I've done this before.
Right. He's just full out.
You
You will
fucking
die.
genocidal murderer.
And like Laura goes through
Welcome to
so
die.
much shit through that first game, boy. It's I liked it because of that. I haven't got a chance to play the second or third of the reboot trilogy, but you know, to me, and I think for a lot of like people online, Tomb Raider itself as a series is easily worth 300 million. Like if not more. Because those games are good. They're very well polished. I've heard people had some issues with the story in the later games. I haven't played them, so I can't speak on that. But the whole gameplay loop and the survival aspect of it, I really enjoyed from that reboot. And then some of these other franchises like Deus Ex and Thief, those are
Deus
games.
Ex is really good.
Yeah, those are games that I've heard nothing but great things about, and that
Yeah.
people wanted sequels from them for years, but we just never got them.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's so good that a sequel, it would kind of,
Can
if the
jeopardize-
sequel didn't hold, it jeopardized it a lot. If the sequel wasn't the same or better, it would leave a sour taste in your mouth. I mean, how many times has that happened in history, bro? It happens all the goddamn time.
You mean like Sonic Forces?
Bro, I'll be right back, y'all boys. My allergies are kicking my ass.
Mhm.
All right. But yeah, like I think the last Deus Ex game was Human Revolution, and I think that was like 2013.
Yeah, it was really good though.
Yeah, it was like
'Cause I played a little bit of it. It's a weird little game if you're not used to it. Like, because it's like a first person stealth-ish.
hack
Like,
game.
yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to it. Kind of like how Cyberpunk has a lot of moving parts to it. But I could see why people like it
Hmm.
because of its intricacies for the time. Like when it came out, that was like PS3, PS4-ish era or something like that. Because I know it was a sequel.
Yeah, it was the end of the 360 PS3 era and like almost the beginning of last gen, almost the beginning of
Yeah.
the PS4 era. Because I remember it being ported to Wii U, and I was like, oh, okay.
Wait, that shit got ported to Wii U?
Yeah, because like it was out at a time where the Wii U was released and 360 and PS3 was still relevant, and since the Wii U was pretty much spec wise, on par with 360 and PS3, they ported it or released it at the same time on the Wii U.
Well, then I'm pretty sure that did a grand old time. Pretty sure that sold quite well, or maybe not, because Wii U, just being the Wii U.
Yeah, from what I heard, that the port is good. Um, but yeah, the other studios that was part of this. So we've just been talking about Crystal Dynamics, who's been doing the Tomb Raider franchise, but the other two studios, Square Enix Montreal and Eidos, they actually made some like pretty significant games as well. With so the Deus Ex was handled by Eidos Montreal, and Eidos Montreal also handled the last Tomb Raider game. They were also responsible for the Thief reboot in 2014, but they also did Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which,
Which everybody likes.
yeah, from what I heard, is very well received game. Very well received game, and it's a shame because from what I heard, it's really good. It's just nobody bought it.
At all.
And this is really kind of random, but the other one, Square Enix Montreal, they're actually a video game. Video game. Obviously, they're a video game developer. They're a mobile game.
What else are you doing?
They're a mobile game developer. But their track record is also really good because their track record was the Hitman Go games, the Hitman Go game, Lara Croft Go, Deus Ex Go, and the Hitman Sniper games, which all were very well received.
For mobile games, which is actually quite surprising.
And I played a little bit of, I believe it was Hitman Go, and basically it's like a little puzzle. It's like a puzzle game in which you're playing as the hitman and you have to kill whatever target, but you're on like a little grid and you have a certain amount of moves. You have a certain amount of like spaces you can move, and the enemy does too. So it's kind of like a strategy game in that sense. But
It's an
yeah,
interesting take on Hitman about killing shit.
but yeah. So why did Square Enix sell these studios? Kind of really weird reasonings. Let me. This is officially from Square Enix. The paragraphs I'm going to read. This is from their own press release on it. And I quote: The transaction will assist the company in adapting to the changes underway in the global business environment by establishing a more efficient allocation of resources, which will enhance corporate value by accelerating growth in the company's core business in the digital entertainment domain. I'm going to stop right there. That was nothing but fucking word soup.
It was just jargon.
We weren't doing shit with these IPs, so we're going to sell them so we can focus on the ones we're actually doing stuff with.
Bro, like that felt like, you know how in school you had to write an essay and it's like there's a word count, like you had to reach amount of words or reach amount of pages. And so you just spent like three or four lines just to say one simple thing.
And then your teacher's like, you didn't say anything that I wanted you to say about any of the shit that I asked you to say.
Right. You turn one sentence into like threes. Like rather than saying like I like to read, you go instead of like I like to read. It's like reading is very important to me because it is something that inspires me. I read because it's not only enjoyable, but it's enlightening.
Enlightening.
Oh. And then at that point, you're just like, I never even let you use the word enlightening. Where did you fucking copy this from?
Right, you're just making up words that that's not in your vernacular at all.
Right. Like I know
at all.
So going back to the quote. In addition, the transaction enables the launch of new businesses by moving forward with investments in fields including the blockchain, AI, and the cloud. The move is based on the policy of business structure optimization that the company set forth under the medium-term business strategy unveiled on May 13th, 2021. So in other words, they want to get onto the NFT hype train and try to make some quick money off of people who's going to spend thousands on fucking JPEGs.
So basically, they're on some modernized BS that no one cares about.
Yeah, because like the company CEO, like last year, they expressed interest in doing the blockchain, having products on the blockchain and NFTs and all that crap. Finishing with a quote. This transaction will also provide an opportunity to better align our overseas publishing function with our organization in Tokyo, revisit the current governance structure, associated reporting lines, and advance integrated group management with the goal of maximizing the worldwide revenue generated from future titles launched by the group's studios in Japan and abroad. Again, just nothing but word soup. Going forward, the company's development function will comprise its studios in Japan, Square Enix External Studios, and Square Enix Collective. The company's overseas studios will continue to publish franchises such as Just Cause, Outriders, and Life is Strange. So that last part is very interesting to me because seemingly the three studios that they sold off were like the bulk of Square Enix's studios outside of Japan. But with this, the company Embracer does not get Just Cause, Outriders, and Life is Strange. Those are still Square Enix properties. And if I'm not mistaken, the Just Cause series is very popular and does well for Square, if I'm not mistaken.
It's kind of fun.
Outriders, I don't know. I know none of y'all played Outriders. I played a little bit of it and it was boring to me. So
Outriders is another looter shooter, huh?
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe it's because I was playing it by myself, and looter shooters probably should be played with friends.
That's typically how looter shooters go.
Yeah, they probably need to be played with friends, because I only played it because it came on Game Pass, and none of y'all had Game Pass, so it was just like I was just playing it by myself, and I was just like, all right, this is
all right. The only looter shooter I've played to where I was willing to play it alone is Destiny.
And that's Borderlands for me.
So I find it interesting they put Outriders as, you know, as a notable studio, a notable franchise. And then Life is Strange, which I'm glad Life is Strange is not affected by this at all, because Life is Strange is actually done pretty well under Square Enix.
Yes.
Squid,
Did you
we
say
need to.
Gex?
I said Life is Strange, not Gex.
Max said Gex. I was like, what?
No, he said yes.
This
Oh,
is like
Boy, somebody got
It's
Gex on
just
his.
like-
Somebody got Gex on his
This is like-
mind.
this is like breakfast at Brian McCall's house.
It's like dinner at Maximilian Jean Bryce's.
Anyway,
But what about Life is Strange?
Life is Strange is really. I'm saying this like I played through the entire series. I played through one, and I loved the original Life is Strange. A lot of it just hits the right way. Like the soundtrack in that game is so phenomenal because it just hits at the right moment. Like it's a bunch of indie-ish type of like music. Yeah, like independent rock or alternative music, but like there's moments in the game where the music hits like right at the right time and it just sets the tone of it perfectly. And then, you know, the whole changing, like rewinding time mechanic and trying to fixing the mistake that you did in it. I really enjoyed it. And we need to play it.
Yeah, we do. I wouldn't mind playing, like doing a little playthrough, sit through, or whatever.
Yeah, because I know the story, but I would love to see your reaction to it, Squiddy.
So then I get to make the decision.
And I played a little bit of the prequel Before the Storm, where you're with Chloe. But I haven't played Life is Strange 2 yet, or the third one, True Colors. But again, I've heard nothing but great things about them. And I want to jump into that when the remastered collection comes out.
Look, that was out.
I don't think so.
Ain't no telling.
Let me look this real quick. Oh God, it did come out February 1st. I am late.
Very.
Okay, I gotta jump on that.
Everything.
But so yeah, that was Square's official statement. But I kind of found it interesting to look at the performance of the studios, because I think that's the bigger telling of why these studios were sold off. So here's our article from Game Rant by Alex Hopley. And the title of it is Guardians of the Galaxy Underperformed in Sales. And Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy was quite the unexpected hit for many in 2021, featuring a single-player adventure that focused heavily on narrative features and the story of Peter Quill becoming the leader of the popular spacefaring group. The game received critical praise following its release. It even went to win the Best Narrative Award at the 2021 Game Awards. And for many, the game was a dark horse of 2021, as few expected it to be well received as it was. And even though it was overwhelmingly positive, according to the recent quarterly earnings report, Guardians of the Galaxy publisher Square Enix claims that the game underperformed in its launch sales. The company wrote in its report that the game's sales on launch undershot our initial expectations. However, the sales have grown since November 2021, likely caused by people picking up the game off all the critical praise that it was getting. So yeah, it didn't do good enough, and
Initially.
yeah, well, it just didn't do good enough. Period. It's for Square Enix.
I mean, because that's one of those games where like you wouldn't even expect Square to handle something like that. So I'm pretty sure they were probably like doing it like a shot in the dark type thing, just to see if it would stick, and it didn't. And that's why, like, all right, we're not doing that shit again. All right, you guys are gone. Y'all are on the chopping block. It wasn't good enough. It was good, but it wasn't that good.
Which is crazy because, like, if you would think like the game is getting all this praise and is winning awards, you would think, hey, yeah, it didn't sell well, but you know, there's something to work with the studio and with the establishment that they had with you know the game. But
Yeah.
I guess Square was just like, no, fuck that.
No, you gotta go. You didn't do what you were on the chopping block. Along
That's
with getting
crazy. That's actually crazy.
And
I don't
this
think that's a smart move.
and here's a tweet from Dave Gibson.
you say gay Dibson.
I did. I definitely just changed the freaking things around.
Gay Dibson.
But he said the reason why Square sold sold all these teams for 300 million was because in a little under 2 years they lost 200 million dollars on the two Marvel games.
Well, shit.
So like both Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy, because they lost so much money on them, it seems like Square was just like ready to just cut ties entirely. And I'm pretty sure that's due to, of course, the licensing of it, because it's Marvel and Marvel is super hot and popular and has been super hot and popular for like 10 plus years now. So like,
Yeah.
I highly doubt those licenses were cheap. And then the fact that Guardians of the Galaxy underperformed and Avengers has been a huge issue for years in terms of, it getting players, the lack of updates, and just a slow process on that progress on that on that franchise. Well, that game as a live service.
Yeah, it's because from what I remember, like a lot of people complain about how grindy Avengers was and how like the content itself that was being provided wasn't necessarily fun. It was just very grindy for grinding's sake. And even if you played with somebody, it still felt that way for both you and whomever you were playing with. So it wasn't even like a fun grind, and the stuff that you were getting rewarded, it wasn't necessarily really worth the grind. Like even recently, like I seen an article recently about how they just put a new Hulk skin in there that looks really cool, but no one cares. The game is bad. Well, not necessarily bad. It's just unenjoyable.
Unenjoyable.
And
But
it's just that aspect probably has just soured the entirety of the game.
I don't think Guardians of the Galaxy, I've heard nothing but good things about that game. Like from everyone that's played it. Every YouTuber that I actually played it, it's nothing but good things about that game. Which is a shame it underperformed because people were talking shit about it when it was revealed at E3. I can't forget that.
Well, yeah, also they spent like 30 minutes talking about it, dog.
They did. Like that presentation was really long.
It was long because they put that much goddamn effort into it, and clearly it did. Clearly it did well.
I think the first impression was a bad first impression because everybody was like kind of on it, and then like they started showing some features that people were like, oh, okay, this kind of be cool. But then they just kept on going, and it was just overkill to the point where everybody was like, "All right, can you just show the next thing, Square?
Or can we please move on? I've seen enough." I think that maybe if the studio gets a second chance, they might learn from their mistakes, but I don't think they're gonna get one.
Well, but that's the thing. The studio itself didn't make any mistakes. It was just, I don't know. I don't know if it was the wrong time at the wrong place. Like I don't know if it was like, if they did Guardians kind of around the same time as Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or something, or if they didn't sour their perception with Avengers. Because like I was interested in Avengers, and I remember specifically when it was coming out, I was like, "Hey, is anybody getting Avengers?" And everybody said no, and I was like, "Then I'm not getting it."
Okay, and then you watched it burn like everybody else watched it burn, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm glad we didn't get this shit."
Like it's on Game Pass, so I probably should go ahead and give it a chance because apparently the rights to Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy is being transferred to Embracer, and apparently the games have risk. The games themselves are risk of dying. So in terms of Avengers as a live service, and the potential of a sequel is going to be dead if Disney doesn't approve of Embracer Group being the new owners of the IP.
So get it while you can, basically.
I think so, because that's kind of suck. That's going to kind of suck if that's going to be the case,
Oh, you know it is. Like there's no other way it's not going to be that.
Well, I mean, another reason why I decided to title this podcast "What the hell is going on with Square Enix?" Because a lot of people, one, definitely felt that this was way too low, and this was kind of like just get rid of it money. Because it really just felt like we just don't want to deal with them anymore. Just take it for anything.
Yeah, that's the word vomit that they gave us, those speech vomit that they gave us. That's basically what he was saying.
Right.
We're gonna move on to bigger and better things.
So fuck
take
off.
These useless IPs. You take these IPs that we don't do shit with. Gex, come on now.
why do y'all hate Gex so much?
I'm sorry, fucking Gex. Bruh, bruh. Take Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, great. Thief, great. But when was the last time they had games of these? Legacy of Kain, awesome. When was the last time they had games? When was the last time they did shit with that?
Isn't Legacy of Kain and Blood, what the fuck that shit's called?
Oh my god, I'm wrong. I didn't know Gex was originally by Crystal Dynamics. I did not know that.
Oh,
I thought it was Bumbler Interactive.
Bumbler Interactive.
Wow, there's only been 3 Gex games? That's crazy.
Yeah, they're all on the PlayStation.
I thought there were more Gex. No, the first one was like on 3DO.
Ooh,
Note to self.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, it was 3DO
Note
and then eventually
self.
got to PlayStation.
Don't drink tap water at Jerry Garcia's.
So then, the other game that's with Legacy of Kain, it's 2 games because they kind of like merged together. Soul Reaver, there we go.
Soul Reaver, yeah. Blood Omen, Soul Reaver 2, Blood Omen 2, and Defiance. I never heard of that one.
Defiance is basically is Soul Reaver. It's both games it's both characters from the games put together.
So, there's a lot that's Crystal Dynamics by themselves have done. Outside of the Tomb Raider games, there's Gex, there's the Legacy of Kain series. They had like a lot of just forgotten games. A lot of them being on the 3DO, like Crash and Burn, Total Eclipse.
I've heard of Crash and Burn.
Solar Eclipse, Pandemonium, that was Crystal Dynamics 2. They're also currently working with Microsoft for Perfect Dark, which another thing that's kind of crazy because this really feels like this should have been acquired by Microsoft.
Yeah, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
Wait.
since they had that exclusivity deal with Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah, that was. Yeah, that's weird. How did they not acquire that?
And I know Microsoft would have paid top dollar for that too. Like this deal would have easily been like 1 or 2 billion if Microsoft paid for it, like easily.
Mm.
But the discourse I was reading online is that it's probably because Microsoft is still in the current phase of acquiring Activision that they probably couldn't. Because that deal is such a big deal that has to go through regulations and stuff. But I wanted to talk about some of the mishaps that Square Enix has been going on over the last few years. So for one, anybody remembers The Quiet Man?
That dog shit. That game is a farce. I've seen gameplay of it, and it's just like, why? I get what they're trying to do, but it's so poorly executed because you can't hear any of the combat or anything because
Deaf.
he's deaf. So you have to just deal with a very, quiet game until you beat it, and then you had to play it again with its very mundane combat and its very mundane story to actually hear everything that's going on. Because now at that point, you're not even deaf anymore.
I don't know much about the game itself, but good God, people were not
Yeah, I like that game.
people were not enjoying that game. And I remember it showing off at E3 one year, and everybody was like, "What is going on?"
Where people are enjoying it, but they enjoying it for the wrong reason. They're not doing it for the game actually being the game.
There was the recent Chocobo Racing that came out, in which it's filled to the brim with microtransactions.
How about that GP shit that looks like a fucking 90s arcade racer?
Yes, that one.
I was like, I was genuinely excited for that game, and then I saw that it had microtransactions. I was like, well, you lost me at the word micro. Because there's literally no point of putting that kind of shit in a fucking racing game. Like, that's a different rant for a different time. But yeah, I hope that shit doesn't come back.
I already talked about the NFT stuff. The
Lord have
the latest big as Max says, whoopsie doodles is Babylon's Fall.
Oh, you talking about that game with like 10 people playing?
Yes. Like, how is that possible? Like 10 people.
10 in 2020.
And like
Two.
the crazy thing about it is like apparently it's just a bad game. Like, it's just bad. And like I'm thinking like, oh, this is going to be a dumpster fire. I can't wait to hear like, people's takes on it. People don't even have takes on it because it's just that forgotten, and it came out this year. Like, almost nobody's talking about Babylon's Fall, which is crazy because it's a platinum game. Platinum rarely misses.
Hold up. It didn't get 10 players. It had in the past 24 hours 55 people playing it on Steam.
Word of mouth is coming around.
Right. And then like 28 minutes ago, 22 people was so like half an hour ago, 22 people were enjoying Babylon's Fall.
Enjoying is a very harsh
my
word.
bad. 22 people were experiencing
There you
Babylon's
go.
Fall.
I watched a whole video on that game, and it was just it was
Was it the
it
Austin
was just
Eruption
poorly
video?
made. Yeah,
I didn't get to watch
that
it yet, but I want to see it because I like his takes.
the game just wasn't good. The game just genuinely wasn't good. Like it honestly and truly just wasn't good.
It's everything that a live service game should not be.
Should not be.
I would love to see like what the hell happened with the development of that game because, like I said, Platinum rarely misses. And
They
like
fucking missed this one. Boy.
Yeah,
and,
because people were, that's why people got the game, because Platinum.
Right.
and like it was revealed a long time ago, and we just heard nothing from it until like this year. It was like, all right, yeah, it's coming out, and it just
I heard that.
pooped
What?
itself. It just pooped itself onto digital storefronts.
Right near Elden Ring's release. Like,
Which is the worst time to come out.
absolutely worst decision that you could ever possibly make, considering how just monumental Elden Ring has been to everybody across the world. And then here comes little old tinkering, bobbing and weaving Babylon Fall. That's it. I bet you this is the reason why fucking Square is selling all these damn Western studios away, because of Babylon's Fall. They're
Well,
seeing that shit like, all right, that's the last straw. You guys got to get the fuck out.
okay,
of here.
no, to be fair, Platinum is a Japanese studio.
But still, they're probably looking at this like, okay, we've let too many people in. We got to get them out.
We've let too many people in.
Get everybody out. If you don't work for the Final Fantasy division, get the fuck out. Because you're costing us money. Mind you, Babylon's Fall, they're still having content like legitimately planned for the rest of this year. Because there's a whole another season of like live game stuff that they promised that they gotta keep their word on. So they gotta keep producing that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Square is going to be losing money on that.
Right, producing it for those 55 enjoyers of Babylon's Fall.
It's 22 right now.
I'm sorry,
in the past 30 minutes.
The 22 that's holding strong.
Right. Or maybe they just turned on the computer and they like walked away to go like do some shit or something, and they just forgot that the game was.
Here's another recent article that came out about Yuji Naka says Square Enix doesn't value gamers after Balan Wonderland, which was another huge whoopsie doodle.
Fucking flop.
Okay,
That wasn't.
look,
Both of that and Babylon's Fall is
Is
wet-
Yuji Naka?
just a wet, uninteresting noodle. They just sit there, moist. You don't do anything. You're just there and useless. You're not even fit for human consumption.
so look, I'm gonna be honest. When Balan Wonderland was first revealed, I was into it because it was like it was very much. I will say this about Yuji Naka. I love his design, like his design philosophy, and like how he gets this weird. It's this weird aesthetic that he has that he established with like Nights into Dreams, and like I love this aesthetics of Balan Wonderworld, and like how he has these like overly like tall characters and like the world itself. Like I love the visual aspect of Balan Wonderworld.
Yeah.
And so I was like really like when they first revealed it and that it was some E3 presentation or whatever, I was like really into it. I was like, oh, this is gonna be fucking cool. Yuji Naka's back on top, baby. We better have another franchise, franchise to rival Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh, boy.
Comes out in a glorious fucking diarrhea spray.
So have y'all heard about the mess that was Balan Wonderworld's development?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I watched the Austin Eruption video too.
Yeah,
I definitely watched that video.
that was very entertaining. And
Extremely.
it's a weird premise how they were just like, we're just going to create the idea of Balan Wonderworld, and somebody else is just going to make the gameplay. And like,
Yeah.
he made a whole company built around Balan Wonderworld. Like, they thought this was going to be a franchise, boy.
Right, they had a light novel.
Oh, they
Or,
did.
or there was some kind of other form of
No, it was
media
an actual book. They had, if I'm not mistaken, it was a physical book.
oh, well then yeah. And it's like they had big dreams and big hopes for it, but you know, it's Balan Wonderworld, so no, it's not going to be successful.
Well, Yuji Naka had some very choice words about Square Enix, to the point where he's filing a lawsuit against them.
Oh,
He's filing a lawsuit because his game was garbage.
Well, here's the thing. Apparently he was removed from the project in the middle of development. But his name was still attached to the project, even though Square removed him from, ties to the actual project itself. So I'm just going to read a few quotes from it. Yuji Naka said, improving a game to the very end is what being a game creator is, and it's strange to make it impossible to do that. He said he asked his lawyer to try to negotiate even to just commenting on the production of the game, but I filed a suit because I was refused. And so like there was just apparently a bunch of weird things that happened during development. Like he said, the relationship with Arzest, who was the developer for Balan Wonderworld, fell apart when I made comments about wanting to improve the game, or about Arzest submitting the game without fixing bugs.
that was a buggy ass game too.
I believe the reception and reviews of Balan Wonderworld, that you all know it to have a lot to do with the situation. I'm truly disappointed in that product that I worked on from the beginning turned out this way. And he also went to say that Arzest and Square Enix are companies that don't value video games or game fans.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it really is about the money. I mean, but he's spitting some facts because they would have let him if they truly actually cared, they would have let him finish his project the way he wanted to do it.
He even said, I am deeply sorry to the customers who bought what I considered an unfinished Balan Wonderworld.
Will he ever be able to get a chance to go back and redeem himself?
Nope. Because and this is like crazy because it's like normally just when it comes to like Japanese culture, if there's like a big issue, they're not going to publicly put that out. But he was just roasting them. Like he's just going through the burn bridge approach where he's just like, fuck it, I don't care. I don't care if I get blackballed in this industry. This is what happened. I'm not standing up for this shit.
Like, I'm about to defend myself because y'all niggas thought I just made this bad game on purpose, and I really didn't.
And it's really
they did some shady shit, fucked up my project, and didn't let me fucking fix it. Kicked me off said project in the middle of development and handed it off to some fucking baboons.
it's really like unfortunate because it's like, as I said, I love Yuji Naka from a design standpoint. Obviously, he was the original creator for Sonic the Hedgehog. He was very much a part of the series, a core part of the Sonic the Hedgehog series throughout his classic years, all the way up into kind of like Sonic 06 when he kind of left the company from that point. But it's just sad because he never got his footing afterward. Because do y'all remember Rodea the Sky Warrior?
Mm-hmm. I do.
I've never heard of that.
And I'm not surprised if you didn't ever heard of it. It was a project by Yuji Naka, And again, it was his attempt to make another like, franchise in the style of what he did with Sonic the Hedgehog. And again, visually, it looks really nice. But it's just apparently the development was just another cycle of
Shit.
bullshit going on. just
shit.
yeah. Just not things just not coming together the way that they should have came together. Let's just say it like that. And it's just unfortunate because I want Yuji Naka to have another good franchise, but Lord knows,
Run him over.
Lord knows he needs a win.
He needs something. He's going to be homeless.
God. But yeah, with all that being said, Clayton's also not back yet. He's like fighting for his life right now.
Right. That's what it seems like.
I'm so sorry, Clayton.
Yes, Clayton, we wish you in your nostrils and your sinuses the best.
So I want to get to the final point before we wrap up. And this is some information that's been floating around. If you haven't heard of Jeff Grubb, he works for GamesBeat. If I'm not mistaken, it's GamesBeat. But he's kind of known for scoops and rumors and getting into leaks. He's usually the point person when it comes to leaking information about upcoming game projects and all that stuff. And so the rumor that Jeff Grubb heard was that Sony was trying to acquire Square.
We're hearing that for months.
Yeah, and like that's going to be the next big acquisition from Sony, and that possibly this move was to sell off the, or essentially to trim the fat from the studios that wasn't making Square a lot of money, in order to make them a better sell for Sony themselves. And
so, what they were just gonna like try to do what Microsoft is trying to do with Blizzard, and like once they acquire them fully, they're gonna get rid of all the riffraff.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, well, with Activision, it's just straight up bad people in that company. But I think I don't know. I don't know how to think about this rumor because, yeah, I guess it makes sense to trim the fat. But at the same time, Sony is very much invested in Western developments. I mean, like, arguably, Uncharted is the biggest, like, Western franchise that Sony could ever make and produce, And it seems kind of weird because Tomb Raider, again, historically was very much built into Sony's legacy with the original PlayStation.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So I don't see
triangular breasts were associated immediately.
Like I don't see why Sony would not want to have Tomb Raider exclusive to its consoles. Like
After all these years.
Right. Like, and I understand that. And look, as a Xbox fan, if Sony were to acquire Square, it's not much changing for me. Like, let's just be real. Like, it's not a lot that's not going to be shown on Xbox because almost all of Square's Japanese stuff is exclusive to Sony anyway.
Well, they're trying to branch out. That's like why they put Kingdom Hearts on like Steam and Epic. Well, on Epic and shit now.
But I'm talking about console wise. Like Xbox didn't get Kingdom Hearts until the Xbox One.
Oh yeah.
Like they've had multiple Kingdom Hearts on the DS and 3DS before it even got to Xbox.
Imagine that. How does the DS have more Kingdom Hearts game than the actual console?
And then, games like Final Fantasy, like the newest Final Fantasy, goes to the PlayStation.
Dragon Quest.
Dragon Quest, like
Isn't.
Dragon Quest isn't, but like Dragon Quest almost again, it only just recently started going to Xbox consoles. You know, um, I think it would be if Sony buys Square Enix. I think it's the people who's hurting the most is going to be Nintendo, because they produce a lot of games recently for the Switch, and Square and Nintendo has been pretty chummy. I mean, they've had a pseudo falling out after Final Fantasy VII because 64 couldn't handle discs, but you know we got things like Bravely Default and Project Triangle Strategy that were exclusive to PlayStation. I mean, I'm Nintendo consoles. So what do y'all feel about that? The idea of Sony purchasing Square?
Like you said, nothing changes for me because the same shit that I would play from them, mainly their Japanese shit, will be on
It's on
PlayStation.
PlayStation. I'm saying it. I don't even play Xbox anymore. So hey, I'm losing literally nothing.
So if they grab them, I'm even more for them. Like, yeah, go.
Right. I'm saying like that's more games for me.
Then imagine the amount of Final Fantasy VII, the remake, is already in like super duper heavy duty development for like the second part or whatever. But
Oh yeah, that's another
imagine
thing.
if
Final Fantasy VII remake. That's also exclusive to PlayStation.
like imagine when that if like Sony acquires Square and then all their resources are gonna like just flood to that just to finish it up. And it's probably gonna be fantastic. But at the same time, you're gonna see nothing but promotional material for fucking Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it's gonna get fucking mind numbing. But there might be a resurgence of shit that we haven't seen from Square in years, like Front Mission.
Yeah, that was
Wait, no,
another.
is that them?
I can't remember.
Let me.
Yep, Front Mission is Square Enix.
Aha. So yeah, shit like that and maybe we'll get more Dragon Quest stuff because the last time we seen a trailer for fucking this Dragon Quest 13 was like 5 years ago. Well, really, it feels like 5 years, but it really was like last year. Maybe we'll see. I don't know, another Nier game somewhere, but only on the PlayStation. And Nier's been blowing up because of Nier Automata being as popular as that was, and then they had the reboot of the first Nier game come out along with the mobile game, Star Ocean. Maybe we'll get a new fucking Mana game like how Trials of Mana came out a couple of years ago, and that was actually really good. I don't know how well it sold. So yeah, if they got them, I would be personally just like moving about my normal day because all their shit just comes to Sony anyway. It comes to PlayStation anyway.
Right. So like again, I don't feel like as an Xbox fan you're not losing much unless you just magically got onto the Final Fantasy, not Final Fantasy, the Kingdom Hearts train when it finally came out, and you're just like highly anticipating Kingdom Hearts 4.
Right.
You're not missing much. I think it hurts Nintendo way more than Microsoft.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I'm looking on the Wikipedia page for Square Enix's like company, and it says for former subsidiaries. The last one is Baffling Company.
Mm-hmm.
That joke must have shut down. The game must have shipped and like, all right, we're shutting this down.
We're shutting it. No, literally, bro.
became subsidiary January of 2018 and closed or sold April 2021.
Bro, that's like when the game just came out.
Exactly. They was like, oh no, y'all got to go.
Yeah, I got to go. Y'all was trying to turn this into a whole thing. Nah, it's not getting any farther. We're shutting this shit down.
Like, you made a fool of us. We can't.
I'm sick of
usually
it.
Usually Knock has the audacity to sue.
The audacity.
Meanwhile, after they say that, they're looking around the room. They're like, shit.
Have you played your game? It's not good.
Like, it's not me. And then Yuji Naka's in the other room. He's like, hey, I'm like, whose fault was it then? This was your idea. You kicked me out. We're gonna sell you, but the rest of the Western studios, how you like them, Apple? Now go play with Gex.
Go play with Gex. Is that their threat?
Yeah, that's their punishment. If you fuck up with Square, and then you have to go play with Gex. Unless it all has celebrity funds. So yeah, it's an interesting acquisition. If all goes the way it goes, I guess things will be shaken up even more. And then we'll see what Sony and Microsoft do after this. To see where maybe they'll acquire some of these other studios that have been released.
Okay, well, I'm currently burning alive in my room right now, so
Nice.
I think we should go ahead and call it.
Yes, I agree.
And,
But I was having fun.
I think Clayton has ventured into the dark void and he's yet to come out. So we wish him the best.
Right. He said, my body is feeling like it's at war with itself right now.
That's a text message he sent us.
Yeah. So, Clayton, whenever you go back and listen to the podcast, we hope you feel better. If
Yes.
we don't hear you the night of.
I feel like because he's still on the Discord call. So, like, I feel he's listening to us, but he's like...
Right, he's probably just like laughing at it and he immediately regrets it because he can't fucking breathe.
Because he can't breathe. No, I know that feeling. Nose probably leaking while he's doing it.
All right, so this has been another episode of the Soundtest podcast. Hope you all enjoyed. Sorry for the delay, but just life happens.
A lot of life.
It's that time of year, so where everybody's just busy. So
Looking forward to this.
yes, please, thank God. I can't wait for the summer to get here. So hope y'all enjoy listening to the Soundtest podcast, and remember, commit tax evasion and fraud.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't listen to Bryan.
If you're gonna do it, then do it with Turnip Boy. That way, you're adorable in doing it, and then you won't look like a fool. As your disclaimer, you'll still look like a fucking fool. Don't do it. Don't listen to me.
Soundtest podcast endorses tax evasion.
Oh my god! Now we gotta
Stop. Close the stream. Good night, everybody. Don't do tax evasion. Good night. Good night. Have a good one.
Have a good prod. Just don't do that. Don't do it.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.